Welcome to ReaderProgramming.com. I'm Greg, and today we will be discussing building and or purchasing a new computer. Before I begin, since this is my very first tutorial series and my very first video that I will be posting online, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am 27 years old, living in Germany, and just about to finish up my apprenticeship for information technology, specifically programming. My goal with this video is basically to go through my thoughts as to how I want to build my own computer, something that I will admit I haven't ever done before, and bring my subscribers, my viewers, along with me on the journey, hopefully being able to teach something, let you all know what the possibilities are, basically what is possible, what's out there. I will begin by saying it really isn't that difficult. It is something that does take a lot of research, a lot of time. It's something that you cannot rush into, and you really just need time to think. It is not something you can do impulsively. You can't just, even a finished computer that's assembled by the manufacturer, you can't just go in and say, that looks pretty, I'll buy it. You really can't do any of that. It's like buying a car. You need to first figure out why you want it to begin with. So, our first section is entitled Why? Why do we want to get a new computer? Do we not have one yet? What do we want to do with it? Do we want a computer because we want to play video games? Do we want a new computer because we need to be able to do office type stuff, personal budgeting, that type of stuff? We need to know what we're doing, why we're doing it. So, we move on to our first point, gaming machines. Gaming machines have a few characteristics that we really need to look into. First of all, they're going to have a fast CPU. They're going to have a very high tact rate. They're going to also, in part, be defined by the games we wish to play. So, that's something we need to look into. Secondly, we need to look at what graphic card we're going to be needing. Again, for the most part, this is defined by the type of game we want to play. All this information will be put on the back of the game disc, not game disc, but packaging where the disc is housed. I'm not going to get into the specific parts at the moment, really. I just want to tell you brief characteristics. Another specific thing about gaming machines is they're probably going to have a very high-end motherboard or main board. Basically, something to keep in mind, CPUs have gotten so fast in recent years that the speed of the computer is no longer limited by the tact rate of the CPU, but rather the distance between the different components and the circuitry type of the motherboard. So that's something that we're going to have to take a look at. Gaming machines also is going to have a lot of RAM. The minimal characteristics will be set by the games we wish to play. The maximum amount of RAM possible is going to be dependent on what type of bit the operating system runs on. Is it a 32-bit system? Is it a 64? Is it an 86? All of this is going to be dependent. All of this is going to influence how much RAM we're going to be able to have, how much short-term memory. Gaming machines probably also are going to have a lot of disk space. The reason for that is a lot of games have a lot of images that they're going to need to save directly on the hard drive for fast retrieval. So this is stuff we need to look into, stuff we need to think about when we're buying the parts for our computer and or going to the store and saying, I want a computer that has this. So, office machines. Office machines have a few other characteristics which are different from gaming machines. For example, we're probably not going to need the fastest CPU. We're probably not going to need the high-end graphics card. We are not going to need as much hard drive space. Granted, probably none of my viewers are going to be building an office machine for an office because, well, you're just not my demographics. So, one specific thing about office machines that are actually in an office building is that most companies have machines that are servers, and a lot of the employees are going to save their projects directly on the server and not on their local machine. Still, you need to look at what you need. You're probably not going to need the whole 9-10 terabyte systems, but maybe 500 gigabytes. It depends on what you want to do, how much you want to save, and how long you plan on having the computer. You're also going to not need that much RAM. You're not going to need 32 gigabytes of RAM that a gamer might need. You might be completely content with 4 gigabytes of RAM or 8. Totally depends on what you want to do with it. You're also definitely going to make sure that you have all of the LAN capabilities, but again, we'll get into that later. Storage. And this is the third type of computer system you might be interested in. You're probably going to need moderate RAM to be able to handle the videos. Somewhere between probably 4 and 8 gigabytes, but again, depends on what you want to do with it. You're going to need a lot of disk space, and that is probably the key to a storage computer. I don't want to do advertisement on here. However, I must say that if you are looking for plain old storage, there is a special computer that you can actually buy from Acer, home server, and with this specialized computer you are able to securely save. I believe I have 4 terabytes of memory and a special process called RAID, which then helps me save all of the information on the 2 main hard drives onto 2 backups automatically, and it's a really good system. So if you are into just plain storage, this might be an option for you instead of going through the trouble of building your own computer. Main questions we need to ask ourselves and really think about these questions. Is it possible to reach our goals with a manufacturer assembled computer? And is it price effective to build your own computer? This is going to require the next videos that I'm going to be making to discuss what components we're actually going to need to do buy in order to assemble our own machine. Prices range dramatically. I've seen a computer tower housing ranging from 50 euros to 400, and that's only one component. Processors also vary dramatically. We really need to know what we want to do with it, and it would be a very wise idea to write down over a period of a month or two what you plan on doing, why you're doing it. Shop around, look at a couple computers at your local electronics store, Amazon for example, get a general idea of prices for what you get for that money. Make a list of all of the components that you need, and then compare the two. It's probably the best possibility that there is. Alright, moving on. Let's take a look at some of the advantages of buying versus building. Reasons to buy might be that it's easier. Well, it's definitely easier just to buy a pre-assembled machine because we don't have to worry about selecting the components, checking to make sure that they're all going to be compatible with one another. The work is already done for us. The other thing is it might be cheaper depending on the software. A lot of manufacturers actually have contracts with Windows or Apple to put their software into the hardware that they put together. Mass sales, cheaper, pretty much one-to-one there. The other reason to buy might be the warranty on the product. When you buy parts, yeah, there will be, in most cases, a guarantee on the hardware, but putting everything together, yeah, might, depending on what you do, might void out the warranty. Who knows? At any rate, if you buy a pre-assembled machine, as long as you don't crack the case, generally the guarantee stays, and you could always take it back if it doesn't work. Reasons to build. You have control. It's probably the best thing I can say. You have control over what goes in. You know for a fact that you chose each of your components carefully, or not. You went with the more expensive, better quality option than otherwise known. And you know what's in it. Best thing is, it's going to fit your needs. I say almost perfectly because even the components themselves are built to benefit a much wider demographic than just your particular needs. It would be too expensive to have custom motherboards built, for example. Instead, they build a motherboard for a certain demographic. So, again, it'll almost fit your needs perfectly. However, it'll fit your needs better than the computer that you get at MediaMart or Staples or whatever electronic stores in your area. And yes, you will think that you are cool. Some general things that you need to think about before you go and buy your own computer or buy the parts to assemble your own. You need to know what operating system you plan on using. Or do you plan on using multiple operating systems? For my project, I plan on using a multiple hard drives, multiple partitions, and I plan on having 4 distinct systems running at one time. Obviously not at the same exact second, but the ability to run 4 different systems at one time. I plan on running Linux. Linux, in case you are unaware, is a free operating system. You can download it from I'm not sure what the website is, but it's something easily Googled. I plan on running Windows XP because, let's face it, older games are cool. I also plan on running the newest Windows operating system, either 7 or 8. I'm not certain yet, but one of the two. And I also plan on having a hard drive set aside for, not a separate hard drive necessarily, but a partition set aside for testing. I plan on using it for testing, for example, Microsoft Exchange on multiple virtual machines, or just different partitions. Need to see. But anyway, this is just one particular thing you need to think about. What do you want to do? What's too much? What's too little? Disk space. How much are you realistically going to use? There are some people who go out and say, yeah, I want to get the biggest hard drive space I can get. I'll get 16 terabytes. How are you going to use 16 terabytes? Seriously. In order to use that much memory at one time, you would have to spend your life in front of a camera, I think. That is a lot of memory. Are you instead going to use a 500 gigabyte hard drive because all you need to do is save a couple of pictures, a couple of videos, some Microsoft Word documents, some OpenOffice documents? What are you going to need? What might you need in the future? Stuff like that. What parts you really need, that is a question that we will be going into when we look into the different components that exist. And yes, that will lead us into the next videos. I thank you for your time. I hope that this has been insightful, and I look forward to seeing you all again for my next video. Thank you.